Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Today we have Laurent KRATZ here, who is more or less well known here at the Technoport. And for those who don't know him yet, may I quickly ask you to, in a nutshell, present yourself?
Okay. So I'm 50. I started back in 90 in Brussels to work. I'm French. I'm born in Metz, and I made a 6 year there in Brussels, and then came back in 95 in Luxembourg. I made my 5 first years here in Luxembourg as a managing director of a services company called back then US Web. And in 2000, I started to be on my own because I was an employee, even if I was a managing director. And at that time, I went to Technoport. It was back then in Chosgard, and we started 2 companies. The first one is Neofacto, which is still running. It's a services company because it's what I have ever done in my life, so it's very easy to go on, and it's easy to do some kind of business that secure part of my revenues. And on the other side, I started to build new companies that had a business model that was not on services. So the first venture was Frontalier.lu in 2000 at Technoport, and it was a huge success. Huge, still small because it's Luxembourg, but it went very popular fast, and there were good revenue fast. And in 2007, we decided to sell the company to a media group here in Luxembourg, and it was a huge success story. Just to go back on Le Frontalier, the company that bought Le Frontalier went bankrupt 5 years later, so in 2012. And as a matter of fact, my colleague and friend Arlette Zeoli, that used to be the sales director of Le Frontalier, bought back from the curator the company, and she's in charge of Le Frontalier. And because she's my friend and because I know the business model, I'm still involved as an investor, but in a small part. And Le Frontalier is on the same desk floor than us. It's nothing sentimental, but she wanted to bring back and the company is going well back again. So bought back in 2012, and now it's again around 500 euro revenue, so just works. The second, let's say, well-known, at least in Luxembourg, venture I made is Jamendo, which is a music platform. It's one of the biggest in the world music platform for unregistered artists. What we do provide hosting services and streaming and download services for musicians and artists, self-produced, that want to expand their music, like, let's say, SoundCloud. But what we do on the side, so the service is free, no ads, streaming, download for free, unlimited. But we have on side of that, Jamendo.pro, B2B business, which is extract the 15 best % of the content and sell this like, if you look to the photo world, iStock Photo or Photolia sell amateur photos to do multimedia projects. Jamendo.pro sells amateur music to do multimedia projects. Some of the customers are Canal+, for instance. When you look Mafioso or this kind of TV series, typically the first part, let's say the intro music or the post music are music coming from the repertoire, but so that's not our business model. But when it comes to the hero going in his car and turning on the button, Canal+ need music for that. But they do not want to pay SACEM, SABAM, all the stack of the regular burglar. They want something very fast. And Jamendo can provide this kind of music directly to fill the gap of all these songs that does not matter that much for you, but still are very easy to do. So the company is doing a bit less than 2 million euros now, still based in Luxembourg. I'm still involved as a shareholder. My longtime partner, Pierre, is still an administrator. But I left the CEO seat back in 2010. And Pierre was then the managing director of the company up to end of 2014. And now we are working on a new project, much more around the virtual currency Bitcoin. So the project name is Blockchain. We do real-time and scoring of transaction and address. So we help compliance officer, this guy is kind to make Bitcoin more secure in terms of AML, so anti-money laundering and this kind of stuff, on top of Bitcoin.
And you had Les Frontaliers, which is more or less a portal business.
Yeah.
Then you had Jamendo, which is
Licensing.
business, and then now you have Score Chain. How did you evolve from one to the other? Was it pure opportunity, or do you think is there a link between?
Yes, there is a link. So we still have NeoFactor, a services company. It's 50 employees, 40 in Belgium, in Luxembourg, and 10 in Belgium. It's a bit more, but something like that. So services. The good news is if you do the work well, it works. And you can buy your clothes, have a car, have a cigar.
Yeah, they have nice cars, by the way.
It works. The problem with it's if you stop working, the business stops. So I'm lazy, like anybody could be. So the link between all the venture we made is really try to find a business model where the revenue is not linked to wages, to the number of people. In the services world, if you want to double your salary, you have to double your revenue. If you want to double your revenue, you have to double the number of people working for you. And unfortunately, it triples the number of orders. It doesn't scale. It scales, but it's complex. But when it comes to lesfrontaliers.lui, you set pixel on the screen. So if the audience increase, then you can show nice stats to Spurcase and say, the advertise becomes more expensive, but still the wages, the number of people keep the same. So when you get to Jamendo, we sell PDFs. Because the music is for free, you can download, but we sell a PDF that says, yes, you can help us, or you, for instance, Rolls-Royce US used music from Jamendo for ads. Yes, Rolls-Royce, you are authorized to do this kind of ads in the US, pay us that amount, let's say $2,000, and we do 50-50 with the artist. So we sell a PDF, so it scales. So selling one PDF per day, 2, 10, 100, you don't have to have more people. So. And for ScoreChain, the same. So because ScoreChain is much more a business model like Moody's, Bloomberg, Reuters, this kind of guys. So they sell slots or access to a scoring platform to banks and Bitcoin actors. So it scales. So it's very hard to sell the first one. Often we say that it's customer zero. Because it's not a true customer. Then you have customer 1, still not break even, 2, 3. And when they get to customer 4, it starts to be only margin. Okay. That's the, let's say, the point is really about that.
And how difficult is it to get to this customer 4 or 5?
The two experiences, I often say that somehow Les Frontaliers was a very good success in terms of monetization, but it doesn't scale. So you can do lesfrontaliers.ch if you want, or lesfrontaliers.whatever, but it doesn't scale very much. But the ratio in terms of, typically you can do more than 100 kilo per employee very fast. Jamendo, it's the opposite. So it scaled very, very large. We have customers in Korea, in Argentina, but the monetization is less than we expected. Maybe we are not that good. So now it's really, probably about lean analytics and so forth. When it comes to this kind of project, it's about customer acquisition costs. It's about total life value, and you do the math. So if a customer make out of 3 years 10 payment, the typical margin is that much, and paying Google ads or Facebook ads or whatever ads is that much to get that traffic that converts to that number of prospects, to that number of customers. You do the math. If customer acquisition is less than total life value, you have a business case. Mm. So because Jamendo is old, 10 years, we know that. Okay? We have all the metrics, we can turn. With respect to Bitcoin, we are at the very beginning, but the math still applies. You have to do the customer acquisition. It's by end. The good news in terms of this kind of business model that the revenue is big, so the margin will be big. Since we hope it will be regulated, it will be mandatory, so the churn will be low, hopefully. So then the total life value of the customer will be big. Well, so we know the metric, but still we have no customers. So you have to fill in the Excel sheet to see if it fits. But voilà. But the good news, it's not linked to the headcount.
Okay. And if you look at your experiences you had, what was most difficult from, let's say, on the other hand, how did you get to Les Frontaliers? What made you think, okay, I mean, as you said, you had a job, you were paid, and how did you do the step? And
it's, you know, it's both things. It's, you know, part of you, I think I have some part of my DNA, which is entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So probably I started late. I was 35. Maybe it would be very different if I started directly coming back to Brussels back in 5 years before. Think again, I started in 2000, but 95, 2000, it was Alta Vista, at the beginning of the Amazon.
So before the bubble.
Yes. I started late. So I had a DNA of entrepreneurship, but maybe I was a bit shy, starting earlier. And I'm passionate, and I'm curious. And some of back to the idea of Les Frontaliers.lu, I used to use a very well-known website at the time, which was Slashdot. Mm-hmm. Actually, it still exists, but it's no more the maker for everything on technology. But at that time, it was really huge, like Hacker News today. And I think that, well, it's really about disruption and peer-to-peer. And this peer-to-peer disruption is also a constant in everything I've made in terms of venture. Mm-hmm. So media at that time was really like the cathedral. So I'm the media and I explain you people what to think. Mm-hmm. And Slashdot was really about peer-to-peer media. So nearly no editorial content, everything built by the community itself. So it's like Café du Commerce. So on one hand, you have medias like Vort, Paper Jam, L'Essentiel. They are cathedral. They send, it's one to many. Mm-hmm. And on the other hand, Les Frontaliers was positioned as peer-to-peer media. So Café du Commerce. So we had a lot of lawyer letters because somebody enters in the Café du Commerce and puts in the salary of the managing partner of Deloitte. How many? The true salary. So then we receive letters. But it's like Café du Commerce. So it's a peer-to-peer media. So Jamendo, peer-to-peer music. Scorechain, Bitcoin, it's peer-to-peer money.
And I mean, if one says peer-to-peer, you already touched it a little bit. There are also some legal issues or regulatory issues. Were you aware of them beforehand, or
yes,
did you let them come?
No. There is, for every peer-to-peer disruption, another peer-to-peer disruption we've lived with NeoFacto is free software. We have a very good, let's say, skill center around everything around open source software. So all this kind of peer-to-peer disruption, so putting it together, creating value by the network instead of the brand. The legal aspects are, some of the people have some kind of political agenda about that. And you had that with the time with free software, think about Steinman. On the other hand, you have guys like Torvalds, which are more pragmatic. We are on the pragmatic side. Okay. So it was the same with music. fuck area, blah, 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 machin. We don't know. We try to build, when it comes to Bitcoin, you have the same pattern once again, anarchy, fuck, black web, dark web.
Because, I mean, you have things like...
So to answer the question, we are very sensitive about and Score Chain is really bridging, you know, regulatory stuff, complaints, so not that sexy, reporting, not sexy, to the technology, peer-to-peer, Bitcoin, blockchain, and all this stuff.
And were there moments in one or the other adventure you had which were, on one hand, difficult, and on the other hand, what would you have eventually done differently if you look back now? Eventually.
Yeah,
I just say eventually.
A lot of things. So les frontaliers, you have another, we did not discuss right now, the way we were financed. Les frontaliers was by self-financing, NeoFacto was by self-financing, Jamendo was with VC funds. So then, it was the first time, so then we made mistakes. We were too, let's say...
Happy?
No. Too easy at the beginning with the VC. I have a lot of respect for you, no problem with the VC, but just to name them, Mangrove, I believe now, because I have gray hair, they are more B2C oriented. Okay. And they saw the enormous popularity of Jamendo, because Jamendo went to, on Alexa, we were at the maximum 7,000 biggest website of the world. So they saw the B2C, but the DNA of Jamendo is B2B. And they, out of the money they poured inside the company, we spent a force in Google Ads. It was nonsense back then. But we listened to them, but we did not understood at the very beginning that their DNA was really about B2C, but the company was not.
And if, for example, now you, as you also do some investments yourself, if a project comes to you, what are you looking at it? I mean, you have been on the other side, you have been on the driver's seat, now you're on the co-driver. Do you...
It's very classic. So, team.
The team.
I would say lots of very, probably already heard about that, very straightforward things that you could hear from investor or entrepreneurs. You can give a good idea to bad team, you give something bad. If you give a bad idea to a good team, they will fix the idea.
Exactly.
So, good team, first of all. And a good team, so often I see good project, good ideas, but only one people. So a one-people team does not exist, I believe. Even if you look to Zuckerberg without Cheryl, okay. You need Cheryl for Zuckerberg. So good team means at least two, better three, but not the same, not clones. So you need the tech guy, and you need the extraverted guy.
Okay.
It's a must. So, and then, okay, there's a good team, let's see the idea. And some of the tests I do to check the business model, I often say, well, explain me, because I'm pragmatic, what will be the end of months in 36 months in terms of invoicing? Just describe me the invoice themselves. How many? One invoice? 10 invoice? 1,000 invoice? Amount of the events and margin. That's it. And it's a very nice test to do. 36 months. Do the math. So I will emit for Score Chain in 36 months, maybe 20 invoices. And all the invoices will be roughly 10,000 or 20,000 euro to banks.
And are you looking, when you say invoices, would you prefer recurring invoices or more one-offs? Or it doesn't matter?
No, because when you do the exercise with the guy trying to raise funds or explaining his project, you get all the response. But doing that simple exercise of imagining yourself doing like any entrepreneur, you have deadly administrative task to do. End of month, you do the salary, and first of you do the invoicing. That's basic. So, and account receivable, does the customer has paid, blah, blah. That's, you have administrative tasks too. So, do that in 30 months. Just explain me what will be the 2 of June 2018. What will we do? And it's an exercise because every question like is it recurring or not will come.
Okay, that's and what about, for example, you have a guy or a lady who has an idea, and you know that this person has the guts to realize the idea, but as you said, the person is alone. Would you also provide them assistance eventually to find teammates?
No, I do not. I do not. Why not? Today, it's...
What would you recommend to somebody? Because very often, I mean, you start with an idea, and then...
I don't know if there is this in Luxembourg, but if you go to Paris, I'm one of the godfathers of a new sort of incubator called The Family.
Yeah.
And The Family, they do that. They do matchmaking between, the extraverted guy and the Asperger guy, just to build teams, because it's one when you need both. You need both. Yeah. And doing matchmaking is one of the possibilities. I don't know if in Luxembourg there is a critical mass for that. Most of the time, I've seen two kinds of projects. Right? 80% of the time, projects are much more done by the product guy, more introverted, and they do the math, they have read the book Growth Hacking, and they try to do like... Sometimes you see the opposite. Great idea, sales guy, able to mainly oversell projects with no product team behind.
And the lean
stuff. And both cases are okay. But you have to check that the people are understanding that you need both. In French, we say, il y a le savoir-faire et le faire savoir. Yeah. You need both. And then there is third, much more for me, a third sentence, which is le savoir-faire faire. But you need both.
Yeah. I mean, I guess here in Luxembourg, it's next weekend or the weekend in the second weekend now, there's this startup weekend.
Yes, I'm a mentor. I do this for years. I love to do it.
Yeah. And this, there also, I mean, if I say, well, you go there, or you pitch your idea, and then you try to assemble it, something like that. On the other hand, I mean, we are here at the Technopole, which is positioning itself as an incubator and so on. And you have been at Technopole, I mean...
for Jamendo and for Les Fontaines.
Exactly. Was it a positive help, or would you say, okay, it was nice to be there because you had premises, offices, and...
It was much more than premises. Yeah. For instance, for Les Fontaines, for Jamendo, I don't recall the name of the guy. He was coming from New Zealand, Matthew something. We had, with him, he was employed by Technopole, we made a very scholar work on branding. At that time, Jamendo was a project bring by Sylvain Zimmer. He was training, he was 16, 17, the first idea. And the name was lesautres.org. So it was Les Autres, French. It was Les Autres opposition. And .org, that's okay, but you put yourself directly on a non-commercial web. Yeah. Okay. So we made all the branding stuff, including some kind of strategy. We said, well, in terms of disruption, we are talking about disrupting the guys like the big guns like Sassen, Saban, Gema. So we worked it was probably 3 months' work with the guy from the Technopole and others. We changed this to Jamendo. Jamendo was .com. Jam, so everything playing together, a crescendo. Yeah. More and more loudly, Jamendo. I have the printout at my office, so when we register the name, you typed in at that time Jamendo in Google, there were only 4 hits. I have the printout in 2004. And now if you do it, probably it's over 6 million.
You have several pages.
So this work is not possible if you go to office, whatever, multi-bureau. No. It was really part of what Technopore built to us. And also it was a network. So today I'm still in business with, Luxembourg is small, but still the guys from Pronostics, the guys, because you see, because they are in the same corridor than you, the good one and the bad one, and you build a network around innovation, which is very good.
And on the other hand, I mean, we have also been talking about scaling that, for example, Les Frontaliers or the Grenzgänger, it's not scalable for specific geographical reasons, let's call it like that. And for scaling, I mean, when you look at scaling and you start out from Luxembourg, do you think that it's not something good or something better or positive, but is it something which comes naturally to you when you started your businesses?
Yes.
Just think in terms of scaling.
But not for company.
Yeah, that not, but for the other ones.
But for the yes, if you look to the Jamendo, I don't know if you have revenue in Luxembourg, probably no. When it comes to Score Chain, the first revenue will probably come from Luxembourg because we are working on customer zero, as I explained. And it's just the door, so why not doing that? But Luxembourg, because it's small, is a good point for a startup because you have to go outside. You have to think, you have to build directly your website in several languages. It's, numerous of competitors we see only write their software in English. Here in Luxembourg, everybody understands the UTF-8, does the work to have the multilingual version day zero. And that's good. But the math still applies to customer acquisition, customer bone. Lots of business plans I see, they have no lines about marketing.
Okay.
No, you have to buy your customer.
Yeah, that's those who are paying you after. And on the other hand, coming to that point, I mean, when you started, I remember we were just launching First Tuesday and so on, the ecosystem was very, very small. Yeah, you had them on one hand was even too big already. And now we saw the proliferation of incubators, mentorships, co-working spaces, eventually office spaces and all that stuff, with service, without service and so on. Would you say that it's today easier to get started on the one hand, and on the other hand, are you not afraid that it's just a buzz? That we in Luxembourg we have these buzz waves.
Right.
We had some wave, we had the gaming wave. Right. Now we have the startup wave,
fintech wave.
and the fintech and all that stuff. That it's not becoming a bubble.
No, it's like any trend. You have period of over-expectation and then under-expectation, over-expectation, but the underlying curve is still growing. So I'm pretty sure that, like any hub, Luxembourg, in terms of innovation, has a place to win and to do some of the things. I think with respect to fintech, even if we are clearly in an over-expectation level in terms of media and ICT Spring and whatever Spring, fintech, blah, blah. So a bit of over-expectation, probably will be some, but the underlying trends are enormous. And in terms of localization, Luxembourg has really something to do. If you think again about banks, they suspected that they have survived the internet because they have an app and a website.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, you've not been touched already by the disruption.
Yeah.
So the true disruption is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is much more after. The true disruption is lending club. It's counter. So your remittance business, peer-to-peer. Your lending business, peer-to-peer. So now this kind of guys will disrupt. If you think again about one of the core business of Luxembourg is fund administration, fund promotion, and so forth. Fund administration. It's about doing the accounting of who has which part of which compartment, which fund, what are the shares within the blockchain technology, does this for free. It's too early. But I suspect in a matter of 5 years, guys like, I know, BNP Security Services, UEFA, all these guys will be hot. So you have good brains, then one of the problems in Luxembourg is hiring and getting people. But the people that are well connected in terms of fund management, fund administration are already here. The technology, some actors, us, but there are others, understand. So the new, I don't know, IGFI or Odyssey of 2020 could arise from here.
Okay, you touched upon it also on the HR side, on the skill side.
That's one of the problems of Luxembourg.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I mean, here in Luxembourg, we try, or when you hear the official version is there's not enough skills and it's difficult to attract skills.
Yeah.
And and then you need to create the skills, but until they are ready, then it's there. But would it not be more interesting simply to say, okay, we don't have the skills, but we have the skills to manage these skills, so that you could work with not offshore but outside skills, and then that Luxembourg, like it is now, is the center for management administration.
That's true for the product side, I would say. So product side, so le savoir-faire, you can have the product manager, the guy that is doing the DevOps, and the outsourced part of the development somewhere in Bulgaria, Belarus, whatever. You can do that. And we do that too.
Yeah, like most of them.
Yes. But when it comes to sales, it's much more difficult, I believe, maybe I'm wrong, it's my feeling, to outsource sales. So at the end, the guy with a knife in the teeth, it has to be somebody inside the team.
Okay.
And unfortunately, when it comes to music, Janendo, acquiring a true senior business development guy around music in Luxembourg, very, very complex. That's why we had offices in Paris or offices in Brussels. Very complex. But when it comes to finance, maybe it's easier because you have already a critical mass in Luxembourg about good finance guy, even in BDU.
Maybe there's one or the other question from the audience. No, not really. They are tired. They watched the keynote yesterday evening. So, but on the other hand, coming back a little bit to your experience, on the one hand, you are a serial entrepreneur yourself, and you are a business angel. You invest and so on. What would be if there would be somebody coming and asking for you for, let's say, 3 to 5 points of advice?
Yeah.
What would it that you would give this person? In no specific order, I mean.
First of all is do not over-evaluate the ID. ID is 1% of the problem, and nearly all the success I know, the success is around an ID that was not the original ID. So work, 99% of the problem of success in a startup is work. So just build, and good work is done by the team. So build a good team, start with an ID, do not be afraid of pivoting, but do not focus too much on ID. When I receive people in my office, maybe at least once or two per month, some of them come with an NDA. And I already had the case, I never signed NDA because I received too much IDs, and IDs is not the problem. I will not steal it. Okay. So one of the time, the guy, I do not sign NDA, and the guy was, bit hungry, so it's okay, bye. Because do not over-evaluate the ID part. Execution part is 99. That's the first advice. Second advice is, that's valid for the startup world, but it's valid for any work. Build and maintain your network. So go out. I do the startup weekend because I feel it's fun, but it's also building my network with the guys that have 30 years less than me. And it's not only benevolent, it's also my network. You know. That's true even if you are a manager somewhere in a bank. Go out, shake hands, exchange card or some LinkedIn invitation, whatever, but always maintain your network. At least I go 3 times a year, or let's say 1 or 2 times in the US to TechCrunch Disrupt, to Bitcoin Amsterdam, and even things that I'm not involved in, just to keep the network alive and be curious. That's my second advice, be curious.
And if you look a little bit forward in the future, or not so far future, where would you see yourself, or what would you say? Okay, is it the house on an island? Is it a jet? Or so that you say, okay, now I'm going to slow down a little bit and.
There is a song from Restructure, and we always use this song with Pierre when we think about, is it worth starting again, going to Partech, to Xange, to Isaïe, pitching, scorching. And the song is too old to rock around, too young to die. And that's typically where we are. So an island, no. I'm too curious and too passionate. Probably my future is having some board seats, being involved in a project, trying to help, always trying to do some network before I am Alzheimer. So, well.
But on the other hand, I mean, you have been very lucky, and if it comes to the point of failure, let's touch this point as well, because
I failed. I failed Chapter 11 for at least one company.
And the thing is, because what I learned also the hard way is, if you fail slowly, it's harder than if you fail quickly.
It depends. We are pretty slow. When you think about Jamendo, we were, I had to fire 25 people in a day. It was really painful to do that because you are really, like an hydravion. It was not able to go fly again, and I don't know. Some part of me would say maybe it would have been better to say give up, but it's not me. We are very, very, and it helps also. Now we are raising funds. All the startup we've made was windows of 10 years. So the investor is also very confident with that. So part of what we sell, I don't know if it's good or bad, is that we are very persistent on when we start, we stick on it. And I see lots of other founders, and it's okay, and they raise funds that do startup for 2-3 years and then change.
They change, but I mean, coming back to the point of failure, especially here around, I mean, we don't have a culture of failure. Yeah. If you look in other countries, I mean, if you fail, it's seen as a learning step, and okay, it's not good, but you are not crucified. Do you see that it has changed a little bit here in Luxembourg or not? Because we know us now for some time. I mean, you made your way, I made my way up and down and so on. And I noticed it was always very difficult when you are failing, is maybe not the right word, but when you...
I think it's the common feeling that once an entrepreneur has failed, he is suspicious, he's still here. But what we are doing now, and when you explain, you can revert this feeling. For instance, as I explained, I went chapter 11 with one of my company. Then I started another here in Luxembourg, and then I asked my autorisation commerce.
Yet.
And the authorization commerce, they ask for, you have to go to the notary to do something. And I did not make that, so you have to swear that you never went to bankruptcy. I didn't swear. Just sent, please register my new company, blah blah. So came back, no, you can't. Just get a phone, you can check. I went bankrupt, I explained. When I went bankrupt with that company, I add to every everything that what owed to the state was paid.
Yeah.
It was nearly clean, but still went bankrupt.
Yeah.
So that's life. And it cost me one phone call and one letter, and then it went okay. So yes, perception is still there, but you can revert it.
Okay.
That's my experience.
Yeah. So then, if there are no questions, yeah, please. Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, thank you very much for making here.
You're welcome.
Just the question I have is about your business as a Jamendo.
Yeah.
Could you please talk a little bit about your strategy to compete with all the music download sites, all the free music that people can find on the internet, for example? What's your approach to get paid customers? People who will pay for the music.
So you have 2 hours? No, sure. There were a perception at that time where there were an axis where it was on one end free and illegal, on the other end for a fee and legal. What we said, it's not an axis, it's a plan. There are 2 axes. It can be free and legal or paid and illegal. Think again of mega upload. You paid for something illegal. iTunes paid and legal. Emu, BitTorrent, free illegal. Jamendo, free legal. So what we said, no, it's not a simple axis, it's a plan. It's orthogonal, okay, first. Second, I'm often touched by some great readings. At that time, very à la mode, it was long tail, Chris Ingersoll. So the sum of the small is bigger than the sum of the first 10. Okay? That's the way Google works. Google, at the beginning, was selling advertising to all the small, where Yahoo was selling to the big one. On Yahoo, you have Nestlé, blah, blah. On Google, you have Resto du Coin, as that. Okay? Sum of the small is bigger than sum of the 10 first. So we had the same feeling about music. So that's why we were in the long tail business of music, which is sum of all the amateurs. And then the business model itself was about, disruption is who are the incumbents? Incumbents are big labels and collecting societies. Sabam, SACEM, GEMA, BMI in the States, PLG. So then who are the customers? When you open up a business in Belgium, in France, probably in Luxembourg too, you have to register to somewhere special in the state, Registre de Commerce. You generally receive a letter from SACEM. Please be aware you have to pay if you put music in your song. Directly. It's perceived as low, but it's not. It's a monopoly de facto. It's not a monopoly de jure. So Jamendo has a huge opportunity to break down this monopoly. Then customer acquisition, blah, blah, how do you manage? So you do the same. Every time somebody open up a coiffeur, you send in a letter. Do you know that you don't have to pay SACEM? You can also use us. It's 10% of the price. Okay, you will not have Shakira, blah, blah, but still it's good money. So typically the business was, truc soleil, les cabines de bronzage. So not very sexy. One of the main customers we have at the beginning was Saint-Maclou. They sell carpet. not very sexy, but still they try to reduce their cost. So instead of paying full-blown music, having Rihanna, whoever, they have unknown artists. We compile them, and they use that to make noise in their offices. I don't know if it answered the question, but.
Yeah, maybe just one. I agree with almost everything you said, basically.
Pass. Nearly.
But
No, it's not about. It's I have the same constatation than what you said. Most of the time, you can find good idea, even good product, good project, one person. It's incredibly difficult. I don't know if it's here in Luxembourg or because maybe the ecosystem is smaller than Paris. You talked about the family. It's incredibly difficult to find a co-founder.
yeah.
Any advice? Because, for instance, in my example,
There are, I don't know, because I've done everything nearly in team, so maybe I'm not a good example, but there is dating systems, and you can go to the family. I don't want to advertise too much the family here, because they go with some stones, but anyway, just go network, go outside, so network. Advertise, just if it's around some kind of business, probably there is a forum somewhere else. The value of the ID, often one of the breaks to get your confounder is that you over-evaluate the ID. And when you over-evaluate the ID, you tend to hide it. And then it becomes a vicious circle, because if you hide it, you will find nobody that will be seduced by your ID and join the team at the beginning. So don't be afraid to share.
but yeah, it was not really about sharing because I have no problem sharing. But for instance, my last startup, I started it with somebody in the US.
Yeah.
I found a co-founder in the US
Yeah.
because I wasn't able to find a co-founder here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what is missing.
I have no martingale. I don't know how to do that. It's build your network and try to go to somebody that are not clones of you. Often, when it gets to team, they are clones. So it's okay, it's a team, but still, it's one guy. So try to go to the parties of the École de Commerce if you are a geek. Or if you are somebody from an École de Commerce business school, go to the parties of the engineer schools, just to link. Try to do that. It's experience-wise, my comfort zone is more on strategy and technology, and my effort zone is on sales. So every time I succeeded is because I managed to find Arlette Zeoli for Les Frontaliers, or I can say other names for Jamendo. It's really finding the guy that where it comes to knocking to a door to somebody, nobody who you feel is very high, and as a geek guy, I was at the beginning. It's a bit hard, so I can do that. It's really my effort zone. So find the guy for whom it's the comfort zone. And from my perspective, it's typically sales. It's pure sales guy. So I had even in the services world, a guy like Fabrizio Romano, I recall, we were dealing on a very, very big business, and we were on the short list, and at the end, we managed to get the customer and the prospect, and the customer says, sorry, we've decided with the other. Okay, blah, 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 maybe we can call back in 3 months to check if it's blah, blah, blah. You hung up, just shoot in the desk. And then, I was really despaired. And Fabrizio, maybe half an hour after, just take the phone and call the next customer. Hello, what's up today, blah, 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 blah. As a geek guy, I was destroyed because of a huge project. We worked for years to win it, and we lost. I was destroyed for at least 2-3 days. For him, it was 10 minutes. So you have to both network, but also be curious for guys that have not the same DNA than you.
You're also active as an angel investor.
Yeah.
What is the typical yearly budget that you invest in? How do you select where to invest? How do you get pitched?
Yeah. Often because I'm doing this, because I'm doing a startup weekend, so many guys like you come in my office and explain. As a matter of fact, it's bad because there is a huge network effect. It's because it comes to somehow we know all the business analysts all together at one time. So it's becoming more and more difficult for somebody coming out of the black to directly succeed in an investment first. That's not totally true, but still, there is some kind of network effect. So you have to start by one door. It could be mine. But if I'm convinced, I will convince somebody else. So you will not have to convince only me, just to explain. So I'm receiving a lot of interesting business plans coming from the family. So often we say, I have no chef, but I have chef in the family. So anyway, so that's very nice because it's a new generation of. I really like Technopore. I'm coming out of Technopore, but I feel Technopore is too the level of the threshold to come in is too high. When it comes to startup incubator like Y Combinator or the family, so the number of startups they run in parallel is much, much bigger. So there are less barrier to come in. So I receive lots of my pitch from that, and there are very, very interesting pitch coming from there. And I receive pitch from Technopore. You can just at KRATZ, you contact me, and I spend time for that. I love to do that. And often I say it happens that I say no for that reason. Main reason is you alone. Come back when you found your confounder. So everything around team. But still, every time somebody comes in my desk, he receives at least 1 or 2 or 3 pointers to people he should ask with my recommendation and so forth. So it's not often money, but it happens at least some network. So what I said as advice, ideas do not over-evaluate the ideas. The work is more important. Build your network. So at least, even if I do not invest in your idea, I can help you in terms of network.
So, I would like to thank you
Merci,
for
Steve.
having joined us, also on such short notice.
Yeah.
But luckily you're not far away. And also,
Ibis, if you go to the Ibis building, we are 5th floor of the Ibis building.
And also, we were able to offer you lunch, which was sponsored by the Technopore and its partners for the Google I/O 2015. We as Startup Grind would also like to thank our supporting partners, which are enabling us to run it, because we do it on a non-profit basis and on a no-cost, low-cost basis. And there we have a BPM so that you can send us a postal mail. We have MixVoip that you can reach us by phone. And also we have Sponsor My Event, which assists us in attracting sponsors who eventually cash in order that we can offer other things at our events. And our next event will be on next Thursday, June 4th, and it will be another business angel, Karl Horsberg, and this will be in cooperation with Alban, which is a business angel network here in Luxembourg. So, again, many thanks to the organizers of Google I/O 2015 here in Luxembourg and their partners. And I wish you all still a nice weekend and hope to see you soon. Thank you.